Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hello, magical ones. Welcome to the Faerie Witch vlog. I'm the Faerie Witch, and I'm trying to be loud enough so you can hear me. I hope you can. I don't want to shout through the whole thing at you. Today we're gonna do a book review, if you want to call it that, or a book summary episode. So thank you so much for tuning into this. I hope you enjoy it. And if you haven't heard of this book series, I hope you'll check it out. And if you have, maybe you'll reread it. So it's one of my favorites, and I thought I'd talk about it. So, real quick, if you're brand new to the channel or you're thinking of subscribing, please do. If you are a subscriber or a previous viewer, thank you so much for doing that and for tuning back in. I appreciate it. For those of you who are brand new, I basically talk a lot about different subjects relating to fairies, fairyology, which I'm certified in. We also talk about cats, cat training and behaviors and fun things, because I'm also a certified cat trainer, and we have kitties here if you've seen any of the previous videos. And Charcoal is in here with me somewhere. I hear her, but I don't see her. Must be hiding under something. So we're all about, animals, but mainly cats and fairies. And so we do spell work, we do baking, we do art, we do craft, we do knitting, we do little gardening. You just never know what you're going to get, and you don't know when you're going to get it. So, again, it's always good to subscribe. So, that's a quick rundown. So, what I'm going to talk about today is the series written by a really great author. And I've just finished reading her latest book, which I think came out earlier this year or end of last year, but I only just got a copy of it. So, this is the latest book. This is book 5 from Daryl Wood Gerber. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's the Fairy Garden Mystery Series. And again, this is the latest book. This is book 5. And I've just finished reading it. So, this series is so good. Just quick summary. So, like I said, this is book 5. This is, I think I wrote it on here somewhere. I think this is book 4. This is book 4. Book 3. Book 2. And then this is the one that started it all. This is book 1. So, why don't we just start with that one? Let me say, this is not a paid promotional video, by the way. This is just a fan video because I really like the series, and I think I'm doing something nice by publicizing her book series. But I just really like it, and it's fairy related. So you're gonna hear why I really like this series. First of all, this series, it's an easy read. Every book, the way she writes is an easy read, and it's easy to follow. Now, normally for me, I have a harder time following, a mystery or a suspense thriller or whatever series in book form. I have a hard time following it sometimes because you lose track of the characters, who did what, when they said it, what they said. And I'm an artist, so everything is more visual. If I see it, it helps me remember it, helps me recall it better. So that's why I can watch a wonderful mystery or movie series and follow it really well. And maybe I'll do a video about that at some point. But in book form, it's usually harder for me. Not with this series. I usually can follow this pretty well. I do remember it pretty good. It's an easy read. You get through it really quick, too. And I like the fact that she talks about the crime, but she doesn't. Charcoal, get out of the. Sorry. My cat is just climbing into my quilt box. One moment. All right. I got her out of the box. Say hi, Jericho. Say hi, everybody. Say hello. Say hello. Hi. Good girl. She was climbing into my quilt box. Why? I don't know. You silly girl. You silly girl. Yeah. So, as I was saying, as I was saying, this book series is really good because it's an easy read. I can follow the characters, I follow the plot, I can remember it pretty well. And the main character, she has a cat named Pixie. It's so cute. And the kitty goes everywhere with her, usually. She'll take her to the shop. And so the character lives in Carmel, California, which of course is, on right there on the sea, right on the water. I don't think I've actually been there myself. I don't remember anyway. And it's an artist community, generally. Yes. Okay, there you go. So that's a lure right there for me. The main character, I could say, she owns a cat named Pixie. She likes to garden. She makes fairy gardens. She teaches how to make fairy gardens. She owns a shop called Open Your Imagination, and she lives there in Carmel. It's an artist thing. It's a gardening area, and it's right on the water and all that pretty. And she talks about that a little bit, and then and then of course the main character Courtney also can see fairies, and there's one fairy named Fiona who's kind of like her friend, and Fiona pretty much lives with her. She lives there. And so she goes to the shop with her, she'll travel the city with her, she helps her in the crimes, helps her foil the crime, this kind of thing. And so it's really cool. And it's not just her, other fairies, as the books go along, other fairy characters are being introduced. So it's cool. You get this whole thing going. So, I mean, that's all lore for me. I love all that. She's got all the positivity about the fairies, the fairy gardens, got cats. Thankfully, the little kitten, her kitty Pixie, never gets injured, never gets put into the crime scene, which I'm so glad of. I hate it when these novelists and movie makers endanger the animal. I hate it. It turns me off immediately. But yeah, I loved love all this. So far, the kitty's always been safe. So if you're a cat lover and you're worried about that like I would be, I'm just giving you a little spoiler there. So far, in these 5 books, the kitty always is fine, never gets injured, never put at risk. So yay to Miss Gerber for writing it like that. I appreciate it. And then also, like I say, the character, she's into the making fairy gardens and about gardening, and it's all about connecting with nature, but also connect with the fairies, and the fairies are usually around with her. It's so cool. It's neat. There is a romance element in there. It's not prevalent. It's not overly done. It's definitely not, a sexy romance novel series. It's not that, but there is a little bit of that in there with Courtney and a few of the other characters as the books go along. And I like to, as I started to say before I got interrupted by my own cat, was that one other thing too is when she talks about the crime scene, she mentions what happens, she'll describe it, but she won't overly describe it. And I like that. So you're not, your senses aren't completely taken over by the blood and the gore and the crime scene and all that stuff. I mean, she mentions it, she describes it briefly, she moves on. I like it. She doesn't take you into it where you can feel it. You can feel every, ugh. There's plenty of movies that do that. You don't need to read it, right? That's the way I look at it. So I like that fact that she just kind of keeps it mild, mellow, mentions it, and goes on to the next scene. So, yay! So, there's like 6 or 7 positives for a novel series right there for me that I just love. So, again, that's why I have to keep praising this series because it's just terrific. When it's got all the elements in it that I like pretty much. So, um, and the other characters too, they're being mentioned. Some are friends of hers, some are customers and students of hers, some are just people, that live there and she doesn't know them really well. But a lot of them own shops or so, like the one character is owner of a general store, another one is owner of a clay sculpture and pottery shop. Another one is a bakery. Another one does the deli or the restaurant. And then there's the one that does sells the paintings and the artwork, like art gallery owner. That kind of thing. And it's neat. It's cool. So you're all this art reference in each book is something I like too. So anyway, so again, this one is the first one. This one starts the series. So this one introduces Courtney. This one talks about Fiona. This one mentions, some of the leads. I'm just going to read you this little section here. It says, the Fairy Garden store owner, Courtney Kelly, believes inviting magic into your life. But when uninvited trouble enters her shop, she'll need more than a sprinkling of her imagination to solve a murder. So this one gives you the background. This one talks about who she is, how she got kind of started, but then it goes right into the crime. So the author doesn't spend a lot of time on the character's past, but just enough. And her father also lives there in the town, and he's mentioned a lot in every book. And her father is the owner of a landscaping company. So and he's a former policeman, which is handy. So he often will check on her, help her, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So in this one, they talk about her background, how she got her shop started, and what she does. And then this first one here talks about another shop owner who's the dog groomer. Um, he's found killed in her store during the night, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've read this one. And so she's actually the main suspect. Courtney is actually the main suspect in this. And so she has to get, it's just to clear her name, find out what happened. And of course, Fiona, her fairy, helps her. And she's got shop owner characters who are really nice, who are for friends who help her. So again, this one starts the series. Now, in this one, book 2, Glimmer of a Clue, okay? Now, in this one, I'm trying to remember it. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to remember it, because again, it's been a while since I've read it. Okay, so in this one, I'm just going to read you a little top section. It says, Courtney Kelly has a shop full of delights, a cat named Pixie, a green thumb, and a magical touch when it comes to garden design. But in Carmel by the Sea, which is the city she lives in, things aren't all sweetness and fairy lights. So in this one, a friend of Courtney's, is actually, I forget if she was set up or she just happened to be a victim of bad circumstance or something, but her friend is actually a suspect in the murder. Yeah. Well, maybe she's not exactly her friend. I'm trying to read the back and trying to remember it. I guess they weren't actually best friends or anything, but she knew the lady, and the lady, of course, stirred up trouble. She was an art critic. She was a local art critic who apparently wasn't liked. So when this lady, the critic, is found dead, uh, then it looks like it's a friend of Courtney's who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, so she's the suspect. And so Courtney has to try to help clear her. Okay. Now, in this one, this is book 3, A Hint of Mischief. This one, they've covered, it's a recycled book. They've got a big sticker, and I don't think I'm going to get it off. So I can't read you the little background, but, okay. So, in this book, Courtney is, of course, doing her classes. She, like I say, she teaches how to make fairy gardens and sells all the stuff and everything. That's her main focus. And she does garden parties and things like that. So in this one, she's really busy. She's doing garden parties for some kids. There's a 40th birthday bash for a sorority sister going on. A famous actress is coming to the town to take part. Um, Let's see, and the little section here I can read you says, now Courtney has less than 2 weeks to paint a mural, hang up tinkling wind chimes, plan party games, and conjure up all the details. And so then it says that she was during a spa day with some friends, trying to, just relax a little bit. It turns out the actress, the visiting actress, she's murdered during all this. So, yeah, Courtney ends up being kind of drawn into the mystery again. And one thing, too, is that the author has started pretty much from the beginning is she introduces the police chief or the police sergeant or captain. I forget his full title, but he ends up being the main investigator on almost all these murders. Well, from the beginning, the two of them are kind of at odds with each other because he thinks she's poking her nose in. Now, granted, the first book, she was set up, so she had to be involved. From then on, she kind of it ends up where she's either inadvertently drawn in, or, it happens to be to a friend of hers that's involved and she wants to help. And, so the police investigator, as soon as he hears her name, he just rolls his eyes, cringes, groans, whatever, or puts his back up because he's like, great, I gotta deal with this woman again. And the thing is, they don't really fight, but it's like, they're at odds. And if you're thinking maybe that's the romance element I mentioned, I ain't gonna tell you. You gotta read it. But again, she and this police sergeant or whatever investigator, in every book, they end up having to go at each other because he just thinks she needs to butt out. But she ends up helping him. That's the funny part. Even if she didn't mean to, she ends up helping him. And he just, he's like, let us handle it. We know what we're doing. Anyway, I won't spoil all of it for you. But yeah, so this is book 3. Then book 4, Flicker of a Doubt. That's this one. This one says, and I'm quoting the top little section here, making fairy gardens and teaching crafters how to do the same keeps Carmel by the Sea shop owner Courtney Kelly busy, but sometimes she has to make time for a wee bit of detective work. And so in this one, and I'm trying to remember it, this one, it's a theater tea party art show combination, and I do remember that. Courtney's hired to create a bunch of fairy gardens for the event, so it's like decorations. And then, Okay, and so then this one, Courtney's best friend Megan, who also lives there in the town, her ex-boyfriend ends up dead. And so of course Courtney ends up having to get involved because it's Megan. It revolves around Megan, and since she's the ex-girlfriend, things didn't end well between her and the fella. Of course, the police are looking at Megan pretty closely. So, of course, Courtney's got to get in there because she wants to help Megan, get out of all this situation. So again, there's, in the midst of art and the art gallery setting and the art party and all this art show and everything, here's this murder, and Courtney has to get involved, and of course the police aren't going to be happy about that involvement, and it just goes on from there. Meanwhile, don't worry, the fairies in every book, Fiona is always there. She's always helping. She can get into places that Courtney can't. She uses little spells occasionally and little pixie dust to kind of help the person that Courtney's interviewing reveal more now and then, or help them calm down, or so she uses it. And like I say, each book is starting to introduce more fairies. So each fairy has kind of a job, and each one kind of stays to their own little territory, but they all meet up together and will talk. They will converse. They will help Courtney and her friends out. And each book, too, some of the other human characters are starting to see Fiona and her fairies. Some of them don't see them, but they want to, and they believe in it, but they don't see them yet. Other ones like the certain people, they know that Courtney says she can do this and speak with fairies and see them, and some people just don't believe it, and other ones, are just kind of like, no, that's Courtney. We'll move on. Let's not worry about it. So again, there's a bunch of characters in these books, and you'll learn who's who and what's what. But yeah, I like that one. So this is book 4. This is 4. Okay, now this is the latest one. Like I said, A Twinkle of Trouble. So again, this is the book 5, and this one, let's see, the little top section I'm quoting. Carmel by the Sea garden shop owner Courtney Kelly sees things others can't, like fairies and hidden motives for murder. So in this one, Fiona, the fairy, had been gone for a while. Not too long, but for a while. And, she has her own dramas and her own fairy realm that she has to deal with. And so she'd been gone to the fairy realm. And then this one, she returns. Courtney's happy to see her. And it turns out that Fiona's sister, her little fairy sister, is now joining her for a little while. By the end of the book, I think the sister returns to the fairy realm, but Fiona was kind of mentoring her in the human world, so she's in this book for the first time, I think, or second time. She might have been mentioned in book 4 at the end, but anyway, she has more presence in this one. So, let's see. I'm trying to think. In this one, Courtney's got her own, oh, golly, what do you call it? I know what I'm trying to think of and I forget. It's when you rent or you can buy a plot of land or a plot of, like a gardening plot. Oh, I know what I'm trying to say and I can't think of the term. Oh, damn it. Bloody hell. I can't, I know what I'm trying to think of. I can't recall it, people. I'm sorry, I can't recall it. It's when you can buy it or you rent it or lease it, and it's like a small gardening plot, and you can tend to it and clean it and harvest and grow plants, and vegetables and all that stuff, and I think you pay like a rent or a monthly thing for it or something. Anyway, she's got one of those. I can't remember, and it doesn't say it on here. I'd have to go through and try to see if I could find it, and I don't remember where it was. But anyway, she's doing that as well as the shop. She's still running her shop, and she's also doing she's also taking part in it's like an art craft gardening fair, like this yearly festival kind of thing. So during the festival is when the murder happens. And of course, it happens to a woman who's local, who does a lot of podcasting, who is kind of like a self appointed critic of, of people and stores. She critiques a lot of things, and then she'll publicize not only just on her podcast, but she also publicizes on media writing blogs and things like that. And she has no issue about telling exactly what she thinks. So a lot of times when she doesn't like something, she has no problem telling the public that she didn't like it and why. And of course, that causes a lot of problems because she's critiquing a lot of local people that she lives amongst, and all these businesses and these products and things like that. And so, anyway, she ends up dead. So, Courtney, once again, she gets pulled in because she's at the festival where it happens. She knows all the people who were involved. She knows the victim. She knows the people the victim had been criticizing. Their friends, their associations, this kind of thing. And again, she's got to deal with the police. And of course, the detective is like, oh my God, not her again. Excuse me. And so, again, we've got that antagonistic plot running between the two of them. But anyway, it's there's more gardening mentioned in this one. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's so windy today. It's really affecting my sinuses. So there's a lot more gardening mentioned in this one. There's a lot more about, the the murder weapon and all that stuff. And again, the fairies do assist Courtney in this, and she's got her father and Megan and all her other friends that are all kind of help her or get involved in the whole thing. And of course, the detective's ready to pull his hair out, this kind of stuff. But yeah, so this one has a little more gardening references and plot. And again, but it's an easy read. She stays with, the author stays with the same routine or formula that she uses in the other four. So it's just as good. I like all of them. And so, so this was book 5. This was the latest one. I don't know yet if she has another one coming. She might. Again, I have to wait until I can get it at a reasonable price, so I won't be able to get it right away when it comes out anyhow. But I'm not sure when that's due or if. I suppose I could check on my phone, but if you're interested, you can check it out. Look up the author, Daryl Wood Gerber here. And again, it is her Fairy Garden Mystery series. And but I will be looking at that too. Because I thought I heard there was going to be another one right away, but I'm not positive to that. But anyway, so this is one of my favorite series. And I hope you found that, this will pique your interest if you haven't started reading it already. And I have a friend of mine, I got kind of hooked on these as well. So, yeah. So that is it, I think. I really thank you so much for watching this. I hope that you enjoy and, be sure to check out these books. And another thing too, let me just say, another thing I like too about this author is that each book is, individual And I'm trying to word this right. It even though it's a series and it's going to continue from book 1 to 2 3 4, it's going to mention the same people and this kind of thing. It's not one of those series where as soon as you read the end of one book, it's like it cuts off in the middle of a scene. Like the Twilight series did it. The Halo series did it. There's a few other ones where it's like as soon as a scene is ended, they leave you on a cliffhanger kind of thing, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta find out what happened next. Well, because then you gotta buy the next book to immediately get right back into it and find out what was going on. That doesn't happen with this series. I like the fact that when the author, Miss Gerber, concludes the novel, it's done. So you don't have to jump immediately to the next one to find out what happens. I like that. It takes the stress out of it. But I'm going to tell you, buy the first one or borrow the first one from the library. If you find you really like it, then, I would suggest going ahead and borrowing or buying the rest of them and have them ready. That way, when you're ready to read them, you got it. You don't have to, oh, I gotta wait and gotta do this, I gotta do that. But it's not one of those where you absolutely have to do that, though, like I say, because I like it. She doesn't cut you off on a cliffhanger scene. And that way you gotta worry and you gotta wait and you gotta get the next one so you can find out what happened. I like it that each one is its own story. It's like, okay, this is done. And then you open the next one and it's like, okay, here's a whole new story. Here's a whole new chapter. It's not like a soap opera, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, I like that. So it's another reason why I like the series. So, again, this author has nailed almost everything I like. It's just terrific. So I don't know if Miss Gerber would ever see this video. Probably not. She's probably very busy and writing, and she's got her own social media, and she doesn't need to watch me. Probably never even heard of me. But I really like this series, and I just wanted to pass it on. Like again, we talk about fairies here. It's a fairy garden mystery series. Why not mention it, right? And so I really hope that you will check out these books. And thank you so much for watching this. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you in the next one. Have a fairy day. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much.